Welcome to the Koori Knockout podcast. We've got a very special guest joining us today. Along with Dean Widders, we've got Jayden Campbell, the fastest man alive, the fastest man on the coast, and he's making his Indigenous All-Stars debut. We've got him on here. We're in camp with the boys at the moment, so we're shooting a few podcasts, and we're lucky enough to have Jayden with us. How you going, bro?
No, good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for jumping on. Here on the Knockout podcast, we just talk knockout. We talk knockout all year round anyway, so we thought we may as well come together on a podcast and share that yarn. And obviously you and your father and everyone and Tinger as a whole has got a really strong connection with the knockout. So we're excited to hear some of your yarns and some of your knockout experience over the years.
Right, I got a good one. So I remember playing against Preston as a young fellow all the time, right? And he was a freakish little player. And then one day they were playing in the divisional championships, and it was the game was a draw, and there's only like a minute to go. And Presto's about 40 metres out, and they threw him the ball, and he was the one going to kick the field goal. Everyone rushed out at him. He was aimed up to kick it on his right foot, and he just, boom, stepped the bloke that come out to him, and he kicked the field goal with his left foot. Everyone just went. So he swapped feet halfway through the field goal, and that's what I remember, just sitting there and going, this fella's a freak. This fella's just incredible, because he was only a little fella as we grew up playing against him. But he was just someone who was always the most dangerous player on the field, and you had an eye on him in attack and defence, because you couldn't run at him back then either. I remember one day run at him and he would cut you in half. He would just fold you in half, and it was sort of like, no one run at Presto. And we were all twice the size of him, but we didn't run at him. And one of the best ones I've seen, Ronnie Prince made a break one day and passed the ball inside to Andrew Lomu when I was at the Roosters and Presto's at Cronulla. And Andrew was a big, strong boy, and Presto folded him in half, hit him and cut him in half, eh? And I swear I saw snot run out of his nose. He hit him that hard,
double barrel,
snot run out. But there was like a golden rule was, if you've got the ball, don't run straight at Preston, because he cuts you in half the way he tackles. And I want to ask Jayden, like, what were your early memories of your dad playing footy? What was the things you remember most about him playing? What are the things that you loved about seeing your father play football?
Well, just like you were saying, he cut the biggest fella in half. He wasn't the biggest fella, but he'd always put his body on the line. He was tough. Earliest memories for me was probably him being the shortest fella, but wearing a headgear. He be the quickest fella on the field too, stepping everyone, and that's what I really love watching about. Really love watching Dad playing football.
He didn't hold back when he ran the ball, George? Because we got to play with him a couple of times, and in All-Stars teams.
And feared no one.
And he'd just get the ball and he would go that hard at the line. He'd run that hard at it and just go, look, we're front rowers here, and we don't run as hard as that. And here's our little man there going in there. But just an inspiration to play with. And for me, we're in All-Stars camp, and it was a real moment, seeing Jayden walk into the camp. And when he spoke the other night, like I was just that proud for Presto. I've been talking to Preston a bit in the last week, and I can even feel the pride in his voice, and your mum, Lee, like how proud they are. Like they've done. Presto is a great footballer, right? But he's a great father and great family man. And him and Lee, what they've created with all the kids up there, and I've worked with him up at the Gold Coast, that's his best achievement, and he'll tell you that every time. He's a family man. I was talking to Jayden earlier. I was like, Preston's going to come down. He goes, I don't think he can get away from the grandkids. He loves the grandkids that much. He won't want to leave them. But to see you come into camp, brother, and what Preston played in starting this and created, and what all of us get to enjoy off the back of it, but to see you, that must be extra special for you.
Yeah, no, it is. When Ronnie gave me the call, it was I was really proud. Not just for me, but for my family as well. Like you're saying, Dad, he's a family man. He puts a lot of time in us kids. So being able to pay him back with being successful, makes me really happy.
What do you reckon him and Mum will be thinking on Saturday night when they get to see you run out?
I'm not too sure. I know. Every time I run out, Mum doesn't want me to get hurt. So it's probably what she's thinking about. Don't get hurt. But I know Dad will be proud. Like you're saying, me and his relationship, he's a father first. We don't really speak too much football, but he's proud of me.
And that's so true what he's saying. Like Preston when I talk to him about Jayden and how Jayden's going any time, it's never football.
Yeah.
He'll tell me how he's going, what he's doing there, bro. He's going good. He's doing this sort of stuff. He talks about his whole family like that, and it's always families first for him every time. And I've no doubt he'll be there watching, not as a ex-All-Stars player, as a legend in the game. He'll be just watching us. I'm just a proud dad who's happy to see my son doing something that he loves out there amongst the brothers and all those sort of things. And Preston, he even downplays the football side of it all the time. It's a unique thing, but we're all like, and I know George played with your dad. He'd be sitting here loving the fact that we get to sit and have a yarn to you now, brother. But really loving that aspect that you brought to All-Stars week this week, and I've been real interested just watching it all unfold.
Well, one yarn for me, while we're talking All-Stars and talking about your father, I would still remember the moment. I think it was the first All-Stars game we had, and we were sort of up against it. We were always up against it. We were always underdogs. And there was a moment there where the ball went back to Presto, and Presto picked it up. Sam Burgess was charging down the field at him, and Presto just stormed straight at him. Sam Burgess threw everything he had at him, chopped him down. Presto hit the ground, bounced back up, played the ball. And I remember all of us as forwards were sitting there looking, no, if he's doing that, we're doing the same. That pumped us all up to get that extra little spurt that we needed to go again. And I think in these All-Stars games in particular, there's always moments in these games where our blackfella superstars manage to do something amazing in the game that turns it for us, because we're up against the odds. The team's always stacked against us, but moments like that can change everything. And I'm excited because I know that Jayden's got moments in his game where he's going to have that opportunity to turn the game, and I'm really excited to see you play in it. But I want to ask you, what's it been like for you being around footy your whole life? Like, not many young kids get the chance to experience being around the NRL and being around the life that you've probably had. Because I always remember when Presto was around and you were a young fella, you always seen following around and getting to see all these players over the years. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, like you said, I've had a pretty privileged life. With Dad playing football. I was his little shadow when I was a young fella. Wherever he was, I wanted to go. Dad did pretty well though. He tried to keep me grounded and as humble as he could. I just remember being in places where all my favourite football players were. So I just wanted to go see him in person. And that's what it was like as a kid. And then, I was pretty privileged. I got to hang around with him, be around a lot of NRL players and things like that. But I was very lucky.
How to mould your game as a player now, because you're exciting to watch, and even for me, like my kids, and it was probably from the moment you debuted. I reckon within your first 2 or 3 games, my kids were already Jayden Campbell in backyard footy. They all wanted to be what Jayden was doing. Like the excitement that you bring to the game. I can't believe it, because my kids they're fiercely loyal to the Rabbitohs too. So the fact that they're straight away I'm Jayden Campbell in backyard footy, that was pretty exciting for me, knowing the impact that you're having as a player. Yeah,
so growing up, I always used to watch Dad play, and I don't know why, but I just always thought he played a lot different to other players, and that's what I really, really liked. And growing up, I wasn't the biggest kid either. I was pretty scrawny, I was short, and I used to get manhandled a lot. So, I used to go back and watch all of Dad's old footy tapes, and just try to copy what he did. But also growing up, whether I'd be in the backyard with my friends or, visiting cousins in Tinger, or they're coming to visit us, we'd always play like backyard footy, or we play a game called One Bounce. And I feel like growing up with that's what sort of moulded me into the player I am today. And I try to play different. I know my pop. I remember a few years he was getting bored of watching football, so coming to the NRL, wanted him to be excited about watching football again.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I sort of tried to go back to playing how I would as a kid, and I feel like I'm doing that, and I feel like the last few years I've gone away from it a little bit, but that's why I'm real excited to be here in this camp and be able to play football with fellas like Jackie Legs, with Brent Naden, BK, just all the brothers in here. So I'm just keen to be able to play some football like that again.
You know, it's because I the Tinger football style moulded Preston and Owen Craigie and PJ Ellis, Nathan Blacklock, Bevan French. You know, they all moulded in that style of football as exhilarating, attacking football. And I grew up watching them all and playing against Owen Craigie, scoring 40 points, 50 points against us. And it was just, but you grew up on the Gold Coast. But he still got the same style of football. It was one of the things when we all sat down to watch your debut in a game, I was like, I hope I see a glimpse of Preston out here in the way he plays. And I remember just the footwork and the step and the I don't know what it is about Preston. You got the same thing, but it's the instinct, but also just to go 100 miles an hour into something, to just grab the ball and just back yourself and go that hard at it, even though these are only slight followers. And you had it straight away. And I remember seeing it straight away. I was like, yes, he's got the glimpses of his father, he's got the same thing. But how do you get taught that Tinger style when you grew up on the Gold Coast?
It's a weird one. I think it's just sort of in my DNA, really. You know, like I said, I'd go back to visit family, or they'd come to visit us and we played football. You know, I'd pick things up with my older cousins or my uncles and dad. You know, being skinnier and shorter than everyone, you sort of think that you'd be scared a little bit. But I feel like if you run softer, that's when you get hurt more, or things like that. So, you know, what's the point of playing football if you're only going half-assed? So, I just try to play as hard as I can.
We're talking about knockout football and Tinger. Like growing up in Armidale, like you loved all the Tinger footballers. There's plenty more besides the ones that even made it to the NRL. They've got so many good players that have come out of the Gerards. You know, Willie Gerard was a great player over there. Elton Connors was another one, and Savannah played All Stars. Like you got there's a long line of players that have come through for such a little town. What are the early memories of you for Tinger? Well, actually, what's your earliest memory of the Koori Knockout? You remember it much as a little kid? And I remember Presto played in some great sides. He played at Mooley, he played with Tinger, and in some good teams over the years.
The first memory of the knockout for me was probably Lismore 2008, I think it was. They actually lost to Walgett in the semi-final. That was probably my earliest. I remember going down, watching Dad play for Tinger. And then I remember, I think Moree was protesting. I remember that they were there for a good 2-3 hours, I think it was, and all us kids was running on the field playing football. But that's probably my earliest memory of the knockout, is going and watching him play for Tinger down in Lismore.
Who were the Tinger footballers that you know your dad looked up to as a young fella growing up, and who were the ones that you'd hear the stories about?
I'd always hear the story about my Uncle Tim, Dad's brother.
I played with Timmy too. Timmy was the better player than Preston, to be honest, in the early days, and get picked in all the rep teams, Timmy would.
He always told me that Uncle Tim was a better footy player than him. But he also said that my pop, his dad, he was a freaky footballer. He said he was the fastest fella he ever seen too. So I remember him saying that all his uncles, dad, his brother, and he said that he used to look up to a fella, trying to think of his name, Phil Blake, I think his name was.
Yeah, played for South Sydney, Phil Blake.
He said he used to love watching Phil Blake. All them fellas, Cliffy Lyons. So I think that was some of his heroes growing up.
What about the Blacklocks, Owen Craigies? What are the stories you hear about them? What you obviously Macca was backflips and tries and freakish stuff. And I remember Nathan Blacklock playing under 18s against him, and he did the same things back then that he did on an NRL field years later. I was just like, I've never seen someone so smoothly translate what they were doing in country football at junior level to NRL level. But what are your early memories of that crew?
Well, with Uncle Macca, he wasn't too far up the road when we were living in Cronulla. Pretty sure he was staying in Cronulla too. So I used to go.
Yeah, he was down on the corner there, right?
I used to go visit him a lot. And, used to hang out with him as a kid. Being young, you don't really sort of understand footy until I reckon I only sort of understood it when I was a bit older. I remember watching videos of Uncle Mac, best support player I've ever seen, I reckon. And with Owie, Uncle Owie, I didn't really get to see too much footage of him playing, which I'm filthy at because I've always been told that he's one of the best footy players ever. So a bit filthy. I didn't really get to see much footy of him.
I feel like he's a lot earlier though too, eh?
Yeah.
I feel like I was young.
Right, it's funny. We went from living in Tinger, playing under 15s with me in a rep team, to 2 years later he was playing the NRL Grand Final. And that's how quick it happened. Or something, yeah, year 11, year 10, 11, and that's how quick it happened for him. Like, he was playing in the Grand Final as a teenager, as a young man still at school. Like, it was incredible to think that he went from playing in a country town in an under-15s game where we'd play him in under-15s, and 2 years later he's playing the best players in the world in the grand final. Like,
that's freaky.
Such a quick thing. And then PJ Mack and Presto were still around when Owen was in Sydney playing. They were still playing back home. Presto was the last one to leave. He left later than everyone, even the boys that were in Armidale. He still stuck around and played A-grade up there, and then went to the Gold Coast and that was it. Once he got a chance up there, and he killed it and ended up at Cronulla. But it was outstanding to see what they did as young players. Like what Preston was doing to me as a 15, 16-year-old, he did it to people on the NRL level. And it's a thing for blackfella football, and Jayden's got part of it, is it doesn't get coached out of you, that thing, and that's why I was really interested in at the Gold Coast. No doubt in young junior systems, they would have tried to coach that out of you at different times and say, play this style or play that style.
Yeah, well, growing up, I played a lot of touch footy too, so I feel like that sort of helped me implement how footy's played now, but also keep that style. And like growing up, it's always worked for me. I never really want to. I know as a player you got to evolve and change ways a little bit, but I didn't want to change too much where that whole style was gone. So I always try different things at training. Always try to stay true to who I am as a player, I guess you can say. So coaches up there, I was pretty lucky. I was pretty lucky with the coaches I had. They didn't try to coach it out of me too much. They liked the way I played football, and they didn't try to coach it out of me.
But with the quality that's coming out of Tinger now, there's still good young players there, and Bevan absolutely killing it overseas. Is there talk of you all playing for Tinger in a knockout?
Ooh, yeah. It hasn't been much talk, but like I sit back and watch I've been sitting back and watching the knockout the last few years. I've been riddled with injury, or I've been away, so I haven't been able to play. I was going to play with Cabo last year, but I had to get a clean out on my knee. But I just sit back and I watch and I think to myself, if we put a side in, we go close to winning it. Like you got fellas, myself, Bevan, Jayden Connors plays for Walgett. He's from out them ways.
Don't know about that one yet.
I don't know if he'd compete with Tinger.
It will be hard to compete.
He loves Tinger.
Hard to compete.
And then Bradman there too now. And you still got young fellas out there playing now. So I reckon we go close to winning it. I don't want to put it out there, but
is it something that you'd love to do?
I would. I played for Tinger twice when I was young. Played in the 17 side, but I'd like to put in a side in a men's knockout. So I wouldn't mind doing that.
Is your dad got the hunger for doing that one day, supporting you with it? Because he proud Tinger, man. He'd love to go there and see his son play for Tinger.
Yeah, he would. I think he might be too old now to have a run.
I don't know. Have you had a run together before?
They played together.
We played together in local league for reserve grade. He's still at it, but
Southport,
Helensvale. He's still at it, but you can just tell that his body caught up with him. He hasn't been training or anything lately, so I don't know how he'd go. But
this might be the inspo.
Yeah, might have to start getting him to come to training, do a bit of gym, see what happens.
I'll tell you what, it'd be an exciting team to watch. One thing that you could guarantee is that when Tinger takes the field, everybody will be going over to watch that game.
And I know that they're renowned for the speedy backs, right? But PJ Ellis they got some tough forwards there that have come through there over the years too. And the Blair boys that play down the coast, they probably go back down. Think a lot of the Kempsey mob down there, Southwest Rocks mob, they all connected with the Tinger crew too. So they all come from the woodwork there, and they play and they find some tough forwards and stuff like that. But PJ, when I think of the Tinger players, and everyone talks about the excitement players like Owie and Presto and Blacklock and those types, but you had PJ Ellis, one of the toughest footballers that probably played in a knockout.
Yeah, I don't think there's many tougher than him. If you're rattling off the toughest players, PJ Ellis is in your top.
Oh, he's definitely up there, and he's a Tinger product, and so proud of Tinger too. And I think one of their biggest frustrations, that crew, was that they couldn't all get together at the knockout. When they were playing, they'd always have people in grand finals or people playing something or someone injured and stuff. And they missed a golden opportunity there. I remember one year they did get together, I think it was at Tweed, and they had a great side. They won the comp up there one year in Group 19, and Mac was coaching them, and they were building some good sides there at times, because they had a lot of good footballers outside, just their big stars. But yeah, probably disappointing for the little town that they just haven't had that mark on the knockout that their players have had on NRL competition and their players. And I could say, Jado, it'd be good to see us all come together in that side there one year.
Might have to start talking about it, organise it, see what happens.
We might have lit the fire in
here. Once you put it out there, it's only going to grow.
What's in the future for you with your footy? What do you see? And what's position are you most comfortable playing?
I see it's a tough one because they're different, very different. I loved playing fullback, and having all that open space, and then not having to worry about too much, ball playing, things like that. You just be able to run. But playing 5'8" last year, I actually really started to enjoy it. I started to get my hand on the footy a little bit more. Tackling, that's probably the only part I didn't like. Being a smaller body, I struggled a little bit. But for me, I sort of see myself as a half now. That's what I've been training at up on the coast. So had a full pre-season there now. So I'm just really excited to play this year. Desi Asler, good coach. He got a lot of faith in me too. How
do you get along with Des?
I love him. Yeah. I love him. He's a bit of a different character, but it's what we needed. It's what I needed. But like I was saying, he's got a lot of faith in me. He's got and as a player, that's what you want from your coach. And just really excited to play this year.
I think it's I like that combination. I actually got along with Des really good when I played under him, but he also had Ben Barber, and he let Ben Barber play some of the greatest footy that we've seen in the NRL. And I think that if that combination can get going too, I think it's something that we can see with Jayden playing some of the great entertaining footy. And I'm still excited from when he said, that he tries to go out there and entertain and play some good entertaining footy for his pop to keep him interested. So, that's something that we all want to see. Like some of these great structured teams that go on to win comps, that's great, but I like to be entertained. I watch it for the fun, I want to see Jayden Campbell play. I want to see Jayden touch the ball. So I'm excited to see what you do at Titans this year.
Thank you.
Well, brother, what are we going to expect from you on Saturday night? What's it going to mean to you when you walk out in that jersey? What are you going to be thinking about?
Just going to be thinking about all my family back home in Tinger. Just so proud to be able to represent them. They've done a lot for me, with me in my life. Whether it be driving up from Tinger 6 hours to watch me play a game of football, or ringing me up every weekend just to see how I went or where I'm playing, things like that. So I'm just going to be real proud to represent them. Going to be thinking about mum and dad too. They've done a lot for me, sacrificed a lot as well. Just going to be thinking about my family.
Real special.
You're going to have the whole Gomeroi Nation supporting you too. I know Tinger's behind you, but the whole Gomeroi Nation be behind you as well too. Everybody be supporting you, hoping to see some brilliance from you again.
Mad.
Awesome.
Anything planned for a post-try celebration?
Nah, nothing yet. In July, to copy Uncle Macca with his cartwheel backflip, but the grass was slippery, so my hands slipped. I didn't get to do it. So depending on how dry the grass is, I might see what happens.
Nice. I think we'll all be looking forward to that. And so this year, Tinger's a chance, yeah?
I don't want to say too much.
We put it out there. We put it in there.
It's out there.
There's some names there. Bradman Burst. There's some names there.
No, we look forward to hopefully seeing you at the knockout this year, but even just following you through the season. You're one of the most entertaining players that we all love to kick back and watch and all support. So appreciate what you're doing and appreciate you coming on here and having a yarn with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Koori Knockout podcast. Stay tuned for another one next week.